Yo, what's up internet? My name is Anthony, and today we have a matchup analysis with the Chiefs versus the Raiders. We look at each position and their corresponding position and see which side has the edge. Just a quick heads up, the Chiefs have the edge a lot. Now, we start with the Chiefs defensive line versus Raiders offensive line. The Raiders offensive line started showing signs of life against the Chargers. They were good in both the run block and pass block. The problem was, there were really no plays that called for anything beyond 5 yards. This line was dominant last year, but not nearly as good this year. The line needs to return to form for the Raiders to bounce back. The Chiefs' defensive line has been surprisingly good outside of last game. The Steelers just seem to know how to defeat the Chiefs though. On the other games, they were pretty dominant. They get penetration and occupy space for the linebackers. Edge here goes to the Chiefs easy. They've been good all season outside of one game, and the Raiders just haven't been too good. And now we move on to the linebackers versus Raiders running backs. Marshawn Lynch and the running backs aren't really the problem in my opinion. It's simply the fact that the Raiders get away from it way too quickly. The Raiders have actually gone over 100 yards rushing outside of the Redskins and Broncos games. The scat backs of Rashard and Washington have had their moments this season, and this running back group has actually been pretty solid overall. The Chiefs, simply put, have Justin Houston. The dominant pass rusher just makes life difficult for any offense. He has help with Derek Johnson and Dee Ford. These players are good and have potential to be Pro Bowlers. The Chiefs have the edge here easy. The Raiders might be better than expected, but the Chiefs have Justin Houston. With the Chiefs corners versus Raiders receivers, the Raiders receivers have disappointed time and time again. More specifically, Amari Cooper has disappointed. This duo works good as a tandem with Crabtree getting first downs and Cooper going deep. That has not been the case at all this year. Crabtree, for his credit, has done his part, but Cooper really needs to bounce back. The Chiefs have a playmaker in Marcus Peters. He's the number one all-pro caliber cornerback and basically shuts down half the field. Terrence Mitchell has been picked on constantly and has played surprisingly well. I'm guessing Peters covers Crabtree and Cooper doesn't get out of his slump. The Chiefs have the edge easy. With the safeties versus tight ends, the Raiders' tight ends have been okay thus far. Jared Cook is a playmaker and has been a consistent weapon for Derek Carr. Lee Smith and Clyde Walford have been doing well in their roles. I'd personally like to see Smith sneak out for a few passes every now and then just to keep defenses honest. That's what happened last year, and it would at least slow down the pass rush. If Eric Berry were healthy, this would change everything. Sadly, he's out for the season after the opener. Eric Sorensen and Ron Parker have been filling in valiantly, but nothing will make up for the loss of Berry. I'm giving the Raiders a slight edge here. They are more talented and have a higher ceiling, and Derek Carr trusts them. And now we move on to defensive coordinator Bob Sutton versus quarterback Derek Carr. Derek Carr might be under center, but the Raiders' offense is definitely not back. He really didn't have any passes that traveled for more than 10 yards. I don't know if it's more on Derek Carr or the coordinator, but he needs to push the ball down the field. Carr might be back from injury, but he's not the Derek Carr that we all remember. Bob Sutton has this defense firing and clicking. The defense was able to limit some high-powered offenses before and should have no problem shutting down the Raiders. He's had plenty of success shutting down the Raiders before and will have no problem again. The edge here goes to Sutton, just like the last few years. And now we move on to the Chiefs offense versus Raiders defense. As usual, we start with the lines. The Raiders defensive line needs to get pressure. It all begins and ends with Khalil Mack though. Mack has just been dominant this season and every advanced statistic shows it. Mario Edwards Jr. is also having himself quite a season so far, and the defensive line is performing far better than expected. The Chiefs' offensive line isn't dominant, but it's not bad. Eric Fisher in particular has played much better since his rookie year. Again, this group isn't amazing, but it's certainly solid. The edge here goes to the Raiders. The defensive line as a whole isn't amazing, but Khalil Mack gives them the major edge. As for the running backs versus linebackers, the Raiders linebackers are banged up. Marquel Lee, Corey James, and Nicholas Morrow weren't really anything special to begin with though. Navarro Bowman was just signed from the 49ers, and I don't think he'll have a major impact this game since he's so new. The most notable problem, of course, is the fact that they blew coverages against Melvin Gordon all game long. This has long been a problem area for the Raiders. The Chiefs have Kareem Hunt. What can I say that's not already said? Hunt is a beast and could easily win Rookie of the Year if he keeps this up. He has been a problem for much more talented defenses than the Raiders. The edge here easily goes to the Chiefs. Kareem Hunt is an animal, and the Raiders will find a way to leave him uncovered somehow. On to the cornerbacks versus wide receivers. The Raiders' cornerbacks have played surprisingly well last game. They finally benched Sean Smith, and the defense actually stepped up. David Amerson and TJ Carey had themselves a pretty good game, and more importantly, they didn't blow any coverages. This group has ability and surprisingly held Keenan Allen in check. The Chiefs have a wide receiver playmaker in Tyreek Hill. There are concerns that he has a concussion, but reports indicate that he is cleared. If Tyreek Hill plays, the Raiders are in trouble. The secondary has trouble with deep play receivers, and Andy Reid is masterful at getting the ball to his hands. Edge, Tyreek Hill. And now, we move on to the tight end versus safeties. I know I can't be the only one thinking this, but why is Reggie Nelson on the field so much? He's a crafty veteran, but has definitely lost a step. I can't imagine Andy Reid having trouble exploiting this coverage. On the bright side, Karl Joseph is having himself a hell of a season. He's knocking people back and really laying the hammer in the run game. The problem is, he's just not big enough to cover tight ends one-on-one. The Chiefs counter with Travis Kelce. He's one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and the Raiders have trouble covering tight ends. If Hunter Henry has a field day, I can only imagine what Kelce can do. The edge here goes to Kelce easy. He's a big-time weapon that the Raiders won't have an answer for. For the quarterback versus defensive coordinator, it might be time for Ken Norton Jr. to start looking for a new job. He just doesn't have a good scheme or put his players in the best spots. More importantly, he just doesn't adjust. How many times was Melvin Gordon left alone last game? The communication problems are still there and the players aren't responding. The nice part is, they prevented the big play against the Chargers and kept the game relatively low scoring. Chiefs quarterback Alex Smith isn't playing like the game manager that we all remember. He's taking shots down the field and might be playing the best quarterback he's ever had in his entire career. He still doesn't turn the ball over and has 12 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. The edge here goes to Alex Smith and the Chiefs easy. Smith saw the drafting of Patrick Mahomes as a challenge and has responded beautifully. In conclusion, the Chiefs pretty much dominate the Raiders in every fashion of the game. Khalil Mack is the only saving grace the Raiders have. Derek Carr struggles against the Chiefs historically and has been struggling period this season. The odds are stacked against the Raiders, and this team needs to play with desperation.